He's the ex-director of NRSC, and he is the ex-chairman of Indian Meteorological Society Ahmedabad chapter also. So today he is with us as the ex-chairman of Indian Meteorological Society Ahmedabad chapter, because we are organizing this lecture series in collaboration with Indian Meteorological Society and Naheb Cast, Anand Agricultural University. So we have with us Dr. R.S. Punde, who is the principal investigator and principal and dean of International Agribusiness Management Institute of Anand Agricultural University. So first of all, I would request Dr. Rajkumar sir to give some introductory remarks and introducing IMSA at this platform. And
उसको बुला के लाइव ये फ्री एक्सेस नहीं है.
May I request Dr. Rajkumar sir?
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. You are able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rucha and Dr. Kunte, for organizing this very interesting lecture. Actually, as I understand, there were two lectures were supposed to be there today on the climate change and agriculture, but somehow one speaker is not well, Dr. Giora. So we'll have only one lecture from Dr. Shantanu. Anyhow, but even this topic is very, very important, because we know this meteorological society as well as climate change are the two things together. They go very well hand in hand, and these are mainly for the agriculture, because all our agriculture from the Indian point of view depends upon the weather. And last week itself we came to know about this, what is the long range forecast, which is every year IMD is issuing mainly for this point of view, what type of crops will be there, and how much will be the acreage will be there, mostly for that point of view, so that people know approximately. So that is one part, but otherwise also meteorology is the in thing, and I'll say again, everybody knows about the meteorology. Everybody is expert in meteorology, if you say in the country or world, because if you ask anybody what is the weather, everybody will give his or her opinion about the weather. But frankly speaking, this is a very, very complex subject, meteorology, atmospheric sciences, and it needs a lot of effort to really, when we go for the prediction, which is a major part of this, and to make awareness about this, what meteorology is there, and what type of instrumentation are there, and how these things can help in the overall society. For that purpose, Indian Meteorological Society as such was actually formed very, very long back in the country by Delhi, and then afterwards, almost we can say 40 years back, in the Ahmedabad itself, we formed a chapter, which is Indian Meteorological Ahmedabad chapter, with Dr. All of you know, Dr. Pisharuti was supposed to be there. He was there, one of the leading person, and many others from the Indian Space Research Organization, Space Application Center, Physical Research Laboratory, and many other institutions from India. They started this chapter mainly to give the what meteorology is doing, and what type of meteorological features are there, and to what it can do for the society, mainly for the awareness of that. This chapter was made, and now this chapter is, as many of the members know, is very, very active chapter, and the chapter is very, very active chapter in this field, and we have many programs regularly every year. Some of the programs like India Meteorological Day, that is on March 23rd, we observe about Water Day, the March 22nd, Ozone Day, Antarctica Day, Environment Day. These are some of the programs we always observe. Through that, these programs on these days, we arrange either the lectures by eminent scientists or some discussions. Like this year, we have a panel discussion on this, mainly the issue of the groundwater, how this is changing the groundwater scenario, and because of that, what crop pattern change in the Punjab region, and that actually led to this crop burning issue, which we know from the So that topic was a very interesting topic this year we had. So similar thing we have every year, or maybe whenever any particular event is there, like any cyclone is there or like that, that time also we have such discussions, so that people in general know about that what is happening, the atmosphere or maybe the nearby regions, as well as they can participate from their side also, not on the lecture but morely discussion mode we have. uh, and in addition to that, we have a always after the monsoon is over, we have a lecture on the what type of monsoon was there and what is it is a regular monsoon or how it happened in particular year in comparison to the normal or climate data that we have, as well as we have sometimes our program like excursion tours to the different places of the interest for the meteorology and oceanography or maybe the related field type of point of view. In this way, I will like to say, okay, first activity of this excursion, actually we had a long back with the Anand Agriculture University itself, long back, and that was very, very actually appreciated by everybody. So similar way, we have actually mainly for the students, young researchers, and well, academia, how they can participate in this type of program. Like 2 3 years back, we had one uh, campaign in which we distributed all this simple instruments like rain gauge for the temperature, humidity, this type of instrument to a school student, so that they themselves can measure these things in their school or their home, and afterward they can come up what they observe during the almost the whole season, like 4 5 months. So by this way, they get interested in this topic, as well as the analysis also they can do, so that later on it is helpful for them as well as for society, as well as for from our point of view to getting more and more data of such. So such activity we do as a professional society, not only by us, but with the collaboration with other societies also, like Indian Society of Remote Sensing, Indian Society of Geomatics, Cartographic Society, and other institutions like this time we are doing analytical. So purpose of this, just I wanted to again emphasize our meteorological society is to make generate awareness about the atmospheric science, ocean sciences, and the environment and climate sciences to the members as well as the students, researchers in this case. Very interesting thing. I just last I will also like to say we also having regularly nowadays every year one photography contest by for the students of the different standards from the starting from the 10th standard to the graduation level, and for the members, so that they send their whatever the beautiful pictures they click during the monsoon seasons, and then based on that our expert select, and then so that people get interested in clicking pictures also, they see the picture, they get the what type of features they can observe through their eyes and through cameras. So this is one thing also we do. In addition to that, what is happening in this about that chapter or the Metal Society. Regularly, we have one newsletter which is called eMega because nowadays it is mostly it's electronic version is there. The name is Mega, but is now we call it eMega. So that we do it, and then we circulate to all the members and everybody wants. It is available on our website also, imsa.net.in. This is our website of the Ahmedabad chapter. All the details about this as well as the earlier issues, as well as whatever activity we do, like activity sometime we do on the symposiums or special themes, like we started our chapter itself, we started one series of the symposium TropMet, which is very popular now, tropical meteorology. So that also we organize, and last time we 2017 we had the international TropMet also. So similar way we do this type of activities, mainly that is the purpose which we try to fulfill with this all these members, and we like to have the suggestions from all of you also later on whenever anybody members feel to how to improve this these activities uh, any either through email and all those things, people can come to us and then suggest so that we can improve this awareness to the all this topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your brief introduction of IMSA and your inputs. Thank you very much, sir. Now, may I request Dr. R.S. Kunde to give introductory remarks about this lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. I think, first of all, I also welcome our very renowned and ex-director, Dr. Rajkumar of NRSC. Welcome you, sir, once again. We are delighted to have you with us and listening you, and in this introductory remark, we may call it, and this is really very, very important area, sir. We are also trying to understand many things. And today I will briefly, just within 2 to 3 minutes, I would like to narrate what this project is doing here at our university, Anand Agriculture University, Anand. So first of all, on behalf of myself, our university, I welcome you and all the dignitaries and all the participants in this lecture series on the broad theme of climate change and agriculture, jointly being organized by Indian Meteorological Society, Ahmedabad, and Center for Agriculture Market Intelligence under NAHEP CAST project at our university, Anand Agriculture University, Anand. Also welcome our guest speaker today, Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal. Sir, we are very curious to listen you and to understand many things, and so that we can use these things, maybe the concept at teaching level and research level by the students, PG students, faculty members, and more than that, to understand the significance of this very important nowadays buzzwords everywhere for all the institutions, research institutions mainly, who are working in the broad area of maybe the climate change. So welcome you, sir. Also, I welcome Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Dev, the Secretary, IMSA, and Dr. Rucha, my colleague and CCPI of IT Group, Dr. Dhaval Kathiria Sahab, and of course, Dr. Y.A. Lad, Dr. Rashmi Sharma, Chairman of IMSA. I must have addressed these things in the first page. And Dr. Already we are having some members at our end. I also welcome all those who are associated in this lecture series. We are having some lecture series basically, and this today's lecture is a part of that under IT group of this projects. In 2019, our university, Anand Agriculture University, Anand, got a project under National Agriculture Higher Education's cost component on agriculture market intelligence. Initially, this project was for 3 years. Now it has been extended 1 more year. So we are doing some projects on different activities, mainly on research and capacity building programs in the 4 broad areas: price forecast, demand and supply for crops, and allied activities like maybe the fisheries and dairy and food processing. This supports research on agriculture market intelligence, that is broad area of marketing, international trade, that is global intelligence, and of course commodity market and farm business organizations. These are 4 broad areas within which we are conducting the research with the help of some experts. 5 to 6 consultants are also involved, which are known in this area, as well as we are conducting the capacity building programs, including some guest lectures or expert lectures like today's lecture by Dr. Bal. So these are major activities. We have independent centers, we have our website and everything, and many other activities are also going on. Project is doing very well. This center, we are calling this centers, and it has been rated quite good by World Bank and NAHEP Delhi, which is the organizing body ultimately. So what we are doing in this today's lectures, I shall not be discussing much, but we have already conducted a number of lectures and training programs. This area, or maybe climate change and agriculture, though I am not an expert in this area, but we are doing some work, and even one project is we are doing with the ISRO Ahmedabad. Dr. Bhattacharya is there from our side. A team is working, mainly taking lead by Dr. Rucha, who is here with us. We are also trying to understand how we can address by making the use of advanced techniques in price forecast or addressing the issues in marketing and international trade. This is the ultimate purpose for that. So this even we also have done, our colleagues also have done some work at our university level. When we say just 1 point, it's not having climate change is a big area. So when you are reviewing something, even some of our colleagues have done some work that's increase in 1 degree Celsius in mean temperature is leading to decline maybe 3 to 7% yield in some major crops like wheat, soybean, mustard, groundnut, and potato. This is what our colleagues have done based on review as well as some of our work. One of the, maybe the ex-vice chancellor, Dr. A.M. Sheikh, has done a lot of work in this area also. And even we are having many times meeting with him also. So this is, we are trying to understand how these things are happening and ultimately how this can help us to understand this broad area of market intelligence. Though it is very difficult to directly say its impact on price, but ultimately with the help of the techniques and the data on productivity and production and area and ultimately on market. This is what we are trying to understand. So there are many things which we have to understand. So in this today's lecture, under this lecture series, we are here to understand from our experts, Dr. Bal, few things. And I'm sure listening you, and of course, already we have listened, Dr. Rajkumar, will help a lot to our students. Mainly this center is centric, activities are centric to PG students and faculty members. This is for higher education. And ultimate purpose is to improve the quality of education at national level in the broad area of agriculture, whether it is research or teaching or whatever it is, mainly research and teaching. So I'm sure, sir, I'm certain that listening you and of course, Dr. Rajkumar will help us to understand and how we can use these things in our broad area of market intelligence. These are few things from my side. Once again, I welcome all the dignitaries, Dr. Rajkumar and Dr. Bal and other participants also who have already joined online to us. Thank you, Rucha, and over to you.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving a very nice introduction of NAHEP and giving the insights of how this particular topic can help us. So as we know that this particular center is oriented to give trainings related to market intelligence, and we know that market is not just related to a particular country or continent, but it has so many effects from other countries also, and that is why we try to include the speaker from other country also, from where we can at least come to know that what is the climatic parameter, what are the climatic parameters in other countries, how they are dealing with those parameters and how we can deal, so that we have kept one speaker from our country. But Mr. Giora, who was earlier the training director from World Meteorological Organization at Israel Meteorological Center, was supposed to be with us, but yesterday he sent the message that he has been detected COVID positive, so that he could not join us for the lecture, and we requested Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal to just shift his lecture. And thank you very much, sir, for shifting your lecture and giving us time. Take an opportunity to introduce Dr. S.K. Bal, who is right now with us. He will be delivering the lecture on managing weather and climatic related constraints in agriculture by agrometeorological interventions. I will just give a brief introduction of Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal. He is working currently at ICR Central Research Institute for Dryland Agriculture as project coordinator of agrometeorology in the project AICRP on agrometeorology. The project has 25 cooperating centers located at 25 state agricultural universities in India. He has obtained his bachelor's in agriculture from Odisha University of Agriculture and Technology, Bhubaneswar, and master's and PhD in agrometeorology from Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana. He has served as assistant professor and associate professor at Punjab Agricultural University during 1999 to 2012. During 2012 to 17, he has worked at ICR Niam, Baramati, Maharashtra as in charge head, School of Atmospheric Stress Management. He has been awarded Mashau Fellowship to visit Israel for training on database management in meteorology and hydrology. He has been awarded Fellow of Association of Agrometeorologists Anand, Fellow of Indian Ecological Society Ludhiana, and he has more than 65 peer-reviewed research articles in reputed national and international journals. He holds expertise in crop weather relationships in various agro-ecosystems and linking it to agromet advisory services, climatic and agroclimatic analysis and characterization, climate resilient agriculture, assessing crops' response to weather, climatic changes through crop models, and temperature-based insect pest phenology modeling. So we are very much fortunate to have Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal as the guest speaker with us. I would request Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bhatt to share his experience. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Rucha. So before I formally start my presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Rajkumar for his brief introductory remark about climate change and agriculture. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Kundir for briefing about the NAHEP, and he told that how this program is basically linked to the market intelligence, and we know that how this climate and climate change and weather is linked to market and pricing of the agricultural commodities. And one example that this year also we have found that in the northern India the wheat yield is expected to be reduced to some extent due to this rise in temperature in February end and first half of March. So these are some of the issues that they have highlighted. So thank you very much. So now I would like to share my screen, and also because this is a program under this NAHEP, so I have just tuned my whole presentation so that the students and the younger faculty, they maybe gets some basic ideas that that can help them in their studies or in their lecture series. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So the topic that was assigned to me to talk a little bit, what type of constraints that are there if we relate it to weather and climate, and as subject matter specialist from this agromet research background, how we can help the farming community or the research community to act on those type of constraints and improve the productivity or reduce the risk that is associated with agricultural as a profession or as a business. So with this, I would like to because recently there was a training program. So for that training program, I had compiled the work that I have personally done in the last 23 years of my research career, which are related to agrometeorology and related to different kinds of constraint that we face in the field, whether it is on planning the agricultural activities or any interventions that we do in the fields. So in that, I have tried to compile what I have done in my research career on different aspects related to this type of constraints, and hope that the students and researchers who are listening to this lecture will get some basic ideas so that they can further work on these aspects. So we know that if we look at the whole world, that only 9% of the area is conducive for crop production, and around 90% of area is under stress. The stress may be due to excess heat or cold, or maybe excess water that is due to flooding, or due to salinity, drought, cyclone, frost affected areas, hailstorm. Many stress are there if you look at atmospheric stresses. And in addition to that, we know that the global population is increasing, so there is a lot of demand of food. So the increase in demand as well as this increase in a different type of stresses, but I would just like to emphasize on the abiotic stresses and mainly the atmospheric stresses. And we know that this type of stresses are going to increase day by day, because now the climate change is a reality, and we are looking that whatever apprehension was there that in future the rainfall intensity will increase or temperature will increase, that is actually happening. So in this scenario, so as these concerns are increasing, And this climate change has got little bit positive impact also, but the negative effect of climate change on both crop and livestock production are overweighing the positive effects. So that's how, as an agrometeorologist or as a scientist who is looking mainly working on weather and climate related aspects, we can give some of the information to the farmers, which can help them in taking some decisions, which can improve the economic yield and also economic condition of the farmers. So if we have some of the agrometeorological information, so that can manipulate or adjust the physical environment or affect the suitable farm level decisions which can be taken by the farmers. So from agrometeorology point of view, if I look at what type of intervention that we can do, I have just listed some of the points. So you people can add more into that. For example, we can do the agroclimatic characterization of a particular place, and if we characterize a place, we can know the strength and weakness of that particular region or field, or maybe whatever scale we take it. And we can delineate different type of crop specific agroclimatic suitability of a particular region. We can also assess the extreme events. We can forecast the weather and climate events, whether that is a periodic change or extreme factor or whatever is going to happen in the future. If you do the forecasting, if you understand these forecast values, that also we can help the farmers or the policymakers. And we can also develop the conceptual agricultural advisories and give it to the farmers or policymakers, so that they can do the proper interventions in the fields. Or the solar radiation is a basic component of the crop production. So if you can harness the radiation, whether it is excess or in a deficit, and we can also contribute in improving irrigation water efficiency. And we can also, because that the whole crop establishment in the rainfed region is dependent on the monsoon. So if we forecast the monsoon in a better way, or if we forecast the best time to go for sowing, this type of decisions, if you take using these agrometeorological interventions or agrometeorological information, that also ensure better crop establishment in the fields. And also we can develop different type of decision support systems for taking other farm on-farm management decisions, like what is the best time to go for irrigation, best time to go for harvesting, best time to go for spraying, other things. And we can also develop adaptation strategies by using different type of tools, because we know that different crop models are available. Remote sensing is a tool. GIS is a tool. If you can use these advanced tools and take help the farmers in taking the decisions, that also will going to affect the agriculture activities. And also there are different contingency crop plannings are there under these uncertain or aberrant weathers, and if you can develop different type of contingency planning, that also will help. And finally, modification of microclimatic environment, because whatever point that I have just listed here, we all have studied in our theoretical classes, or maybe we have encountered in the in our research somewhere we have, and there are many things that we can add to this, but because time is short and I have only 30-40 minutes to spend here, so I have just listed these points, and I'll just discuss one by one, and I relate that what type of work that I have personally done in my career, so that it will help at least the students to understand that how we can link this agrometeorological information in taking some of the decisions in the fields. So, and before going for the first point that I have just told, that this agroclimatic characterization, and when we talk about agroclimatic characterization, that we do because you understand that what are the opportunities available in that particular place and what are the constraints. So once you know the opportunities, so it is easier to go for a particular crop or particular decision, that whether we can grow wheat there or we can grow rice there. And suppose, for example, we know that, okay, these are the constraints. Constraints maybe in terms of, heat, constraints in terms of, rainfall, your solar radiation availability. So there are different aspects from agromet point of view. And once you know the constraint, then it will help us to decide what type of, decision that we can take. And, when we talk of agroclimatic characterization, the country has been already, divided into different agroecological and agroclimatic regions, and it is based on different factors or elements that we known as, for example, what is the rainfall pattern, what is the soil type, what is the available irrigation, and what is the length of growing period of a particular place, effective rainfall. So depending on this type of inputs, the country has been divided into different agroecological regions and sub-regions or agroclimatic zones. And each agroclimatic zone, it is nothing but a land unit in terms of measured climate, which is suitable for a particular range of crops or cultivars. That means in that particular area we can grow a certain crop, or we cannot, we should not go for a certain crop. And if we look at the whole country and divide into major agroecosystems, we have 5 agroecosystems: arid, coastal, hill and mountain, irrigated and rain-fed. So accordingly, if we characterize the climate of a particular place, then we can at least know in general that what type of crop or cropping system that we should go for and what we should not go for in a particular place. And before that, when we do the agroclimatic characterization and look at the different type of constraints, also we should see that what is the scale of characterization. That means if I want to work for a policy decision or policy makers, then my scale will be, I'm looking at the whole country or the whole state, for example. But if I want to characterize for a particular field, so the level of characterization will be different, because for example, like when you give a weather forecast for monsoon, so that monsoon forecast, that is for a for policymakers to know that what type of monsoon is going to be there in this year, whether it should be normal, whether it is excess or deficit. But when I want to help a particular farmer and I want to forecast that rainfall in that particular field, it is difficult, because that the forecasting level, its accuracy decreases as we increase the resolution. So before characterizing, we should know that whether we are going for a particular region or a particular field. And again, it's absolute and the deviation values will differ if we go for this change in resolution of that particular aspect. And before I go into detail one by one, we know that these are the basic weather parameters. And when you look at the agriculture, the main aspect in agriculture, if we look at northern India, the Indo-Gangetic plain, we know that a lot of irrigation is being given. Lot of irrigation is being given using the that groundwater. So there the temperature deviation or temperature or high temperature is a concern for the crop like wheat. But if we go to the rain-fed regions in the Deccan Plateau, there the rainfall is a concern because the variability is more, as well as the absolute rainfall is also less. That's why while characterizing the climatic condition of a particular place, we should also look at that what are the parameters and how these parameters are actually leading to what type of conditions like your early drought, mid-season drought, the terminal drought, and how this rainfall is going to affect the whole water balance of that particular place, and how the temperature and what is the absolute temperature, what is the daily temperature range. So all these factors that we should take into account while characterizing the agroclimatic characterization of a particular place. So these are some of the things that we all know that while characterizing the rainfall or the water availability. And I would like to tell that, okay, just now I am discussing considering that I am telling for a rain-fed region where the whole agriculture is dependent on the precipitation rainfall. So in that we should understand that what is the precipitation, absolute precipitation, and also the precipitation anomaly per year. So more the deviation, more the risk involved in agriculture increases, and so that that should we understand. And the second thing, that when we talk of a particular place, we should know that in our place, what is the chance of getting a dry spell? Whether that dry spell, suppose for example, and what type of crop that we are growing in our region, whether that crop withstands a 7-day dry spell, whether that crop can withstand a 14-day dry spell. So depending on that, if we know that our place is experiencing 7-day dry spell thrice in a year in monsoon season, or a 14-day dry spell twice, so accordingly we can select the crops. Accordingly we can decide that what type of crop that we should select, so that in our area, if the agriculture is totally dependent on rain, so what is the chance of failure of our crop? So in that way we can direct our decisions. And also, what is the chance of drought proneness in the last, suppose for example, long term 30 years, if we see that what is the chance of drought occurring in our particular place. And we know that drought we can classify in different like agriculture drought, meteorological drought. But sometimes this meteorological drought does not work actually in the field. So we have to look the agriculture drought, and we should understand the agriculture drought, and we know that agriculture drought is also crop specific. So that we have to calculate, we have to estimate that what amount of rainfall leads to agriculture drought related to a particular crop, and in that also will help us to decide that what type of crop that we can select for our region. And whatever I'm discussing is that these are some of the things that we have actually done ourselves. So also we know that in northern India, this high temperature is a problem in wheat. This year, same thing happened. The temperature has increased by 3 to 4 degrees for 8 days, both maximum and minimum temperature. So we have also tried to look at that. What is the chance of increase and decrease of this maximum and minimum temperature in different district level, and accordingly we can we have seen that some of the regions in northeast, the maximum temperature is an increasing trend, and some of the region you can see here in the some parts of Maharashtra, some parts of Andhra Pradesh, some parts of Kerala. Okay, these are some of the things. So these type of analysis, actually showing up this slide is what my purpose is, so that we should understand that what type of scenario is happening in the country with respect to maximum and minimum temperature, increase or decrease. Similarly, if we look at the lower side of the temperature, like frost, in 2012, there was a the temperature in the northern Maharashtra suddenly increased, and it affected the produce of crops like grapes, banana. So then in northern India, we know that every year there is a frost occurs, and it affects the crops like potato, tomato, peas. Most of the vegetables are getting affected. So what is the chance of getting a frost event per year? So you can see here that the chance of frost events, this is a long-term average of around 10 years. So we have just delineated that these are the districts where the chance of frost is there. And similarly, the whole the country has been we can classify different from different climatic perspective. So there are different methods available in the literature. So we can classify the climate of a particular place. And also one thing that is happening, that there are some the places the climate is there is a shift in climate. That means previously it was under semi-arid. Now the climate of a particular place is arid, and in some of the areas it was previously arid and now it has been converted into semi-arid. So this type of trend and shift, that also we should delineate, we should quantify, and we should understand, so that our planning will be perfect. And in that, just I'll tell that how what I did in my in one of my project, that we try to delineate the whole state of Punjab into different crop suitability areas. And in that, I try to divide the whole state into different regions in terms of maximum, minimum temperature, then length of growing period, then the potential biomass zone of the state. Then I try to integrate those and try to divide the whole state into different categories in terms of thermal and rainfall availability. And based on that, I try to suggest different type of crops that are suitable to grow, and depending on the water use and the temperature, the cardinal temperature requirement of that particular crop. And second, thing that we can do, that means we can use the agroclimatic information. For example, recently we did a work that we try to assess the impact of dry spell on the principal rain-fed crops across the major dryland regions. We took 5-6 states, and we took 6 crops, and we try to define the dry spell. We know that dry spell is nothing but when there is no rainfall for a particular period, and we know that IMD has classified that if rainfall is less than 2.5, we don't consider it as a rainy day. So that means if there is no rainfall, for example, for consecutive 7 days, we call it as a 7-day dry spell. Okay, so we try to define the dry spell of the these are the states that we took, and we try to develop a new index, and we named it as dry spell index. And what is the dry spell index dynamics? We try to quantify. That means here you can see the blue portions are the less dry spell regions, and the red means maximum. And we try to link those dry spell dynamics into how it has affected the yield loss in different crops. We took 6 crops just here. For example, I've given example of pigeon pea and sorghum, and we try to link that yield loss to the dry spell index. And so these are some of the analysis that we can do. So this is just for example I'm giving that dry spell is one of the characteristics or characterization that you can do and link it to the yield loss or effect on the yield. So these, for example, here we have attempted the dry spell. You can attempt the changes in maximum temperature or changes in minimum temperature, or you can get the diurnal range temperature, and you can link that how this diurnal day temperature range has actually affected the yield in a particular year. That type of work that you can do. And next one thing that we did recently is that in India, most of us are working on either dry spell or drought, or even changes in heat wave and cold wave, but very few work is there on frost and other aspect like hailstorm. Okay, so we try to forecast the weather and climatic events, whether it is periodic or extreme. So we took the data of 2 states. One is of Ludhiana, that is from Punjab, and one is from Palampur, that is from Himachal Pradesh. And we try to develop the frost prediction models using multivariate statistical techniques. And we try to develop different kind of models like statistical model like logistic regression, ANN, basic thumb rules, and we evaluated the different models in terms of the skill scores. Okay, and try to look at that what type of model is actually working well. In our case, the logistic regression based prediction model was better, so compared to the other 2 models. So this type of work also we can do, and if we have a good forecasting model, at least if you can predict before 1 day that okay, there is a chance of frost, so at least farmer can take some of the precautions. So that particular in agriculture, you see, if you can give right information even one day before all these extreme conditions, and that also increases the yield, as well as decreases the loss that is caused due to those extreme events. This type of decisions, this type of support that we can give through our developed models or developed decision support systems, or any information that we give it to the farmers. And next thing also, what we can do is that we all hear that IMD is now establishing around 660 district agromet units across the country, and already established more than 200. And IMD has also this agromet field units, and they are issuing this agromet advisories using this forecast weather and the whatever information that is available with the Krishi Vigyan Kendra's subject matter specialist. So that type of agromet advisories are being issued. The question is that whether these agromet advisories, it is nothing but a bulletin or a statement or some informations, but how accurate is this information that we give to the farmers? And accuracy does not depend on the person. It depends on the algorithms, methods, or different modules or tools that are being used by the subject matter specialist, who is actually giving this preparing this agromet advisories. So in that, this is just I wrote a review paper that what are different type of weather forecast available, and how this agriculture contingency plan can be linked to the agromet advisory services, so that and this is a very term that climate resilient agriculture. So nobody can make the whole agriculture climate resilient, but at least we can reduce the little bit of risk that is associated and make the agriculture little bit climate resilient. And and this whole agromet advisory services that I just discussed is that agromet advisory services does not depend on the future or weather forecast. It also depends on what type of present weather is there, and what was the historical weather availability. Because once we know the historical weather, from that we can characterize our place, and because this is available with most of us, and this present weather, we know that whatever rainfall or temperature is available or what is happening. And the accuracy of this weather forecast, if it is more accurate, so your whole agromet advice services will be, the accuracy or the effectivity of the information that is generated from this agromet advisories, that will be, helpful to the farmers. That's why when we talk of agromet advice services, we always look at that it should be timely, it should be contextual. Contextual means, in a particular context, the information should be there. The information should not be generalized. Okay, and the information whatever we are giving, it should be fairly accurate. And this accuracy will improve if we use different type of models, modules, or algorithms, and that will help us to build some of the information. And this is the flow diagram that what we suggested regarding this whole agro advice services and how it can be linked to this contingency plan and climate resilient agriculture. And next, one thing that we try to do is, now we know that in case of solar radiation, in agriculture, basic component is the photosynthesis. We know the that what is the role of solar radiation in the photosynthesis. Okay, but in many crops, and when you characterize a particular place, we know that whatever solar radiation is available, either it is in excess or it is in deficit. Deficit in the terms means, if there will be more cloudiness, you know that radiation will be less. And we know that few crops, as they are like rice, even in soybean, if your cloudiness will increase, it will impact the crop yield. So we try to assess that if in future there will be more cloudiness, more intense rain, and more number of cloudy days, so radiation is going to decrease. So how this radiation is going to affect a particular crop? So we took a soybean crop, different genotypes, and try to Sorry, this is not working. Okay. And try to look at this, how these soybean genotypes actually perform if we reduce the light. So we use the wire mesh, and we planted different genotypes inside that, and we reduce the light by 20%, 30%, 40%, like that, and try to see that how it affects the performance. And we all know a term that is light saturation point. So where the light saturation point is maximum and where it is minimum, that means which particular variety or breed or genotype is actually performing better if you reduce the light. And accordingly, we can suggest the plant breeders that, okay, in future, if the light is going to decrease, then we can go for a particular type of genotype. So this type of information that you can generate. And next one work that we did, and we all are concerned that besides all these irrigated regions, if you look at the rainfed regions where the whole crop establishment depends on the monsoon, and we know that IMD declares monsoon at we all know that in after this last week of May it will be there, and every day we look at the graph, that green line in that monsoon onset and monsoon movement. Okay, so IMD says that, okay, now suppose for example monsoon has moved beyond suppose Telangana, and a particular district, that monsoon has arrived, but when we go for sowing that particular place, so after that, suppose there is no rainfall and the farmer goes for sowing, so that seed will be lost, and again the farmer has to resow. So we looked at this whole onset in terms of agroclimatic onset, where you took the information regarding rainfall, regarding soil moisture dynamics, then evapotranspiration, how this once rain is there, suppose for a particular period, maybe 3 day or 4 day, with a minimum of 20 millimeter, 30, 40, 50. So we took number of combinations more than 40 and try to see that which combination is working best for which type of place. And we delineated the whole country into different, it's not working actually. Okay. So, and in the left hand side, you can see this is the monsoon onset, which is given by IMD every year. We are more familiar. And second is we try to divide the country in terms of agroclimatic onset. That means what is the Julian day or period in which if we sow a particular seed, for example, then there will be ample moisture for the germination of that particular crop. So we try to define, and also we validated at many places, and we found it is correct. So finally we did this work. So this is, we termed it as agroclimatic onset of the crop growing season. So and this we have done at a larger scale for the whole country. But even some students or some researchers, what they can do, they can take a particular state or a particular region, and they can use more finer information maybe regarding temperature, rainfall, ET, soil type, that resolution, and try to rescale and do it more data incentive information, so that for a particular state we can also generate this type of agroclimatic onset delineation. And next thing that is a major concern that we all face, whosoever are doing the agromet advisories, we are preparing. So the basic question that we face, that whether this is the right time to go for sowing or not, whether we can now irrigate the crop or not, what is the best time to go for harvesting. And when you look at a particular field, it's easy to do, but when we are trying to give advisory for a whole district or a whole block like that, so in that case we have to depend on some of the decision making tools or DSS, or maybe some of the some methods, algorithms that. So in that, what we try to look at, and we try to develop a calendar which we try to make it dynamic. That means if we change the rainfall pattern, we change the soil type, we change the dates sowing, and we try to look at that how this requirement of the crops is going to change in terms of water, or in terms of what is the best time to go for sowing, and we develop this dynamic crop calendar. And and this particular calendar, it uses the ongoing weather, the weather forecast, and also the chance of occurrence of these are the things that we need for issuing this agrometeorological advisories, but not possible for us to include all. So we try to include the past weather, present weather, and the weather forecast, and develop that dynamic crop weather calendar. And this calendar is now being used by some of the subject matter specialists already posted in the DAMO of IMD project, that is Gramin Krishi Mausam Seva. They're trying to see that whether some of the decisions like best time for sowing, applying irrigation can be taken by this software now. And this is the dashboard of that. It is very simple to use. Just you have to enter some of the informations. And we did this, and we try to validate across the country with different crops. And now presently we have done it for 92 districts, locations with 15 different crops, and it is working well. And it is being still being under revision, and we're trying to modify it and try to improve it further. And these are some of the outputs that we wanted to see, that whether whatever model that is predicting the sowing dates and what is the actual sowing date, you can see that there is this fairly good agreement, and you can see that different locations having different crops that you have taken. And if we take a single crop and do it, so accuracy is more. But when we in some of the crops, accuracy is better than the other crops. So we are trying to look at it and trying to improve it. And another that same thing, we try to look at that how this some of the weather-based decisions can be taken using this particular software. So we took some of the locations which are mainly rain-fed locations with rain-fed crops, and we did it, and that was published in Agronomy Journal. And next, some of the work that we can do is that we most of us use crop models and different tools like remote sensing. So, and the question is that when you do for crop modeling, we know that we develop, because we have not developed the crop model, so we have to validate and calibrate it in our own conditions. And once you validate, calibrate, we can look at that how this particular calibrated or validated model can be used for making little bit decisions. And if you know that whatever climatic projections are there, temperature is going to increase or decrease, rainfall increase or decrease by some amount. So those information that you can feed into our models, and you can see that how these different type of strategies like shifting of sowing dates, or giving one extra irrigation, or giving extra fertilizer, something like that we can do. So we can play with that software, and we can develop some of the adaptation strategies. And in our case, we found that if we shift the sowing date, then the loss of yield could be reduced. That was our finding in that particular paper. And there are some when we go for this agroclimatic when we go for this agromet advisories, in that many points that come regarding this pest and disease aspects. And we know that just like crop, this pest and disease, they are also influenced by the changes in temperature and humidity. And we try to look at in this particular work that how this this particular insect, that is mealybug, if there is an increase in temperature by 1 or 2 degree in future, how this millibug is going to be affected. So this is just an example of how we can link this development and the progress of this insect, particular insect or disease with respect to climate change. So here you can see that this is the current weather, what is the status of that millibug, and in future, if temperature is increased by 2 degree, how spread it can be. So this is just a model generated, and this has to be validated in the field. And another work that we try to look at that, we all know that the laser leveling has been done, and the laser leveling, the very purpose is to maximize the use of that water and water should not stagnate at a particular place, and whatever minimum water is there that can be used in a particular because if your land is level, so we can maximize the use of water in that particular place. So we try to look at that, compare laser level and a undulating field, that how this distribution of water and distribution of canopy temperature driven by this availability of water in the field. And we also define other agrometric microclimate parameters and see that how best we can improve the yield through improvement in the microclimatic conditions. And another type of the information that we can generate is that I discussed about remote sensing. So remote sensing is a vast field, and how best we can use the remote sensing information in agriculture. So we try to look at the stress level of water stress level in different crops, and if we use some bioregulators, can that water stress be reduced? So we try to give different cell level of irrigation, and through hyperspectral remote sensing we try to find out what are the indexes and how we can link that index to crop yield. And these are all different type of interventions. And also we know that when you go for any crop, so and this climate change, we know that these greenhouse gases are affecting. As these greenhouse gases are increasing, so the air temperature is increasing, and it is leading to climate change, and climate change is affecting the agriculture negatively. But we try to quantify that what is the amount of CO2 exchange, and other entity exchanges in different cropping systems. So we try to took hinge and that wheat, and try to look at that how these different type of entity fluxes are happening in the fields, and we try to quantify that what is the amount of flux exchanges using this eddy covariance system. So these are some of the points or interventions that in some sort of time as a scientist I try to look at. So there are many things that we can do, and many things that you people are doing, and many things our researchers, our advisors, our experts are doing in their own way. So only thing is that because whatever data, whatever information that is available with us, and there are many tools are available. So how best we can use those tools or informations and generate some of the some of the methods, or some of the algorithms, some of the decision support systems which can be used by any end user. End user may be a farmer, end user may be a subject matter specialist, end user may be you and me. So our concern was that, okay, by using the information, we try to develop some of the things. So overall, whatever I have just told in the last maybe 30-40 minutes. So we know that this climate change is a reality now, and this vulnerability, variability has increased many folds, and as researchers, we can try to understand the field issues and explore options through scientific pursuit, and that pursuit may be through crop experimentation that our students are doing, or maybe we are doing as a PC unit at CREDA, taking into account all the information generated from our 25 research cooperating centers. But the only thing is that the biological system is a very complex system. So whatever we generate or whatever we find, it is not definitive. There may be scope for improvement or scope for gathering more information. And therefore, because I whatever I now discussed or told, it is not from only agrometricist point of view. All the different stream scientists to work together so that we can understand it better. And also, whatever we generate, it should not be location specific, should not be crop specific. So every crop or value system has its own way of functioning. So with this, I end my presentation here, and I would like to have some questions from our students, friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. This was really a very wonderful and very informative session for all of us. And there was there was so many points where we can also connect ourselves with that particular topic, because climate change is not the field which touches only agriculture, but it also touches the daily life and layman also. Because nowadays we can see this was the hottest March this year. So we had to start the AC before May or April also. So yes, that is because of maybe climate variability or climate change, whatever we say after research. But yes, it has a lot of effect on agriculture, definitely. And if it affects agriculture, then definitely it will affect so many fields, because agriculture is one of the important fields. So thank you very much, sir. And I'll ask the participants to ask the questions. They have put their questions in chat box in YouTube. So I'll just try to put their questions in front of the speaker. The very first question is from Khunti Mahesh. He has asked that I see in Times of India newspapers that only 2 IMD forecasting are right in last decade. So how we can improve accuracy of forecasting, and which factor decrease accuracy of forecasting?
Actually, weather forecasting is a different, the very complex work, I can say, because when we talk about forecasts are different types. We call some forecast as short range, medium range, long range. So whatever news report that you saw, it is about monsoon forecast, and monsoon forecast actually is a long range forecast. Okay. And forecast is given by a model, and model has requirement of different inputs. So any deficiency in the model or any inaccuracy or inadequate data input will lead to a erroneous output. So as a layman, that is happening, and we also feel that because something you are forecasting before 3 months, 4 months, or 2 months. Okay, so that definitely the accuracy will be less. And in case of IMD, that is only 2 good forecast out of 10 forecast, because IMDs, whenever there is a forecast, they are giving a range. Okay, that accuracy range, suppose for example this year they are giving us 19%, and there is a plus minus a 5% range is there. So and this is the reason, because when we talk of long range forecast, the accuracy will be less. And in India is a tropical system, tropical area, subtropical area, where the accuracy definitely is lower than the temperate regions. So this is the only way, and I think slowly we are improving our forecasting level. When we were students at that time, the medium range weather forecast was around the accuracy was 65%. So now it is 85%. So there is increase in accuracy of the medium range forecast. But yes, you are right that we need to have improvement in the long range forecast, and we hope that in future it will be done.
Another question is, what are the impact of climate change on cropping pattern?
Okay, it's a very generalized generalized question, but thing is that when we decide or when we go for any cropping pattern, we look at that what is the, first of all, suppose it is irrigated region or a rainfed region, what is the water availability and what is the thermal range in that particular region. And in that, we have our own crop weather calendars, and we fix that, okay, we can take up one crop. And if there is a moisture available for the second crop, we go for a second crop. So in that way, we have, defined the different crops and cropping patterns for different regions. And if, climate change is a very generalized term. And if there is a change in rainfall, for example, in some parts of, Karnataka, the rainfall, amount in May has increased. So that's why they have, they're trying to change the cropping pattern and take the crops before 15 days. In some parts of Andhra Pradesh, in this groundnut areas, the rainfall, amount, that actually were received, it has delayed by 15 days. Okay. And if they have seen that if they go for delay of a particular crop beyond 15 days, the yield is going drastically. So that's why I told that this agroclimatic characterization, you have to do it, because whatever was happening 15 years back, 20 years back, that has been changed. So if you re-characterize, you can know that what is the best region or best period in which you are getting the maximum rainfall, and you can shift your sowing and planting time accordingly.
Another question is, what is the practical utility level of climatic models in agriculture?
Practical utility means human brain has got its own limitations. We cannot take a lot of information at a time, and using those information we cannot give output, because for example, if I plus suppose 10 numbers or 20 numbers, that I can do, but if I have 1,000, 1 lakh of numbers in front of me, I cannot plus it because my mind the capability is limited. So climatic model, or you take climatic model or you take crop models. So there are different algorithms, different modules are there. The models have been built by us, but the thing is that model can take many modules at a time, use those and give an output, the output which we cannot create ourselves. But the only thing is that the concern or the caution that you should take is that we should not use the information generated by the model blindly. We should understand that what type of calculation, what type of processing is done by the model, and what type of input that we are giving. We should understand that, and once we get the output, we should see that those outputs are actually practically applicable in the field. Then only we can use the models. But what is happening? People are just using the models blindly without rectifying, without validating in the actual. That is the only concern. Otherwise, climate models are very good. We can use different type of permutation and combinations to generate some of the information that we can give it to the farmers.
So the another question is, what are the ways to achieve maximum crop production under the stress condition of climate change?
The thing is that these are very generalized questions. once climate change is there, I told that, different type of stresses may occur. The temperature may increase, rainfall may decrease. So each condition have its own way of maximizing the yield. Suppose, for example, if rainfall will decrease, so you have to, select a crop which require, less amount of moisture or water. And if there is, a dry spell, suppose, for example, in between 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, so you have to irrigate that crop. So there are many ways. Or even nowadays, people are using the bioregulators to improve the yield. So there are many conditions are there, many types of interventions are there. So there is not a very specific prescription like, there are different diseases and we have different types of medicines. So there is not a single medicine for all the diseases.
So the last question from the participant, Dr. G.L. Kadam, is there any evidence that due to climate change, any physiological change occurred in crop or plant?
Yes, definitely, because, when we go for basics of physiology, so there are many research papers, you can see that, when climate change is there and different, heat conditions are there, you can see there are many, all the, physiological aspects. There are thousands of publications there on this aspect. So there is a change. Obviously, when there is a change in temperature or change in moisture status, soil moisture status, so definitely the physiological aspects will be, the crop will change.
So I have that is the end of questions from the participant side. I invite our panel also if they have any point to discuss over here. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Bal, it is a very, very interesting, I think, lecture, as well as the topic is also very, very interesting. I find it. Just one question I wanted to know regarding this is a very good topic when you're talking about dynamic weather related agriculture changes what you are making, that DSS, the decision support system. So how much it is maybe ahead of the time it is required? Whether as you're telling for the frost case, you're telling it is even 1 day forecast is also very, very useful. But in this case, DSS case, because I from my point of view, wanted to know from the forecast point of view, we are working on that also. So how much ahead forecast may be good for this?
That's how the thing is that, for different type of conditions, time period is different. For example, when you talk of frost, even a single day frost will damage the potato crop by 30%. But if the frost continues for 2 days and there is specific time, the damage will be 100%. And that's why it all depends on the time before which you forecast and the time for which that particular extreme condition is going to be there. If the frost persists for example, 1 hour and frost persisting for 2 hours, is completely different story. So it is very complex, scenario as far as frost is concerned. But if we forecast the frost at least 1 day before, the farmer can irrigate that crop and that frost effect will be drastically reduced. That people have, there is a clear evidence of that. So that's why the weather forecast is very important. And one participant also told that, the forecast, whatever is given is not, not becoming right. So that concern is there as far as long range forecast is there. So as a, agrometrologist also, we feel that if your forecast is better, it is definitely going to help the agromet advisories. And the second thing that you talked about, the dynamic crop weather calendar, okay, that this is a, this is a decision support system that we have developed, and this whole module is using all the 3 types of, historical weather, the present weather, and also the forecast. So if the forecast is accurate, so the accuracy of our model output will be better. And we found that when we predicted the sowing date, because the forecast was that next week there will be 30 mm, 40 mm of rainfall. So we predicted a particular date for that is suitable for sowing, but there is no rain. So in that case, our module output and the actual date that the farmers actually went for sowing, that did not match. So that's why the forecast accuracy is very critical, and we all are expecting that in our country the accuracy will improve further so that it will help the farmers.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because forecast is weather forecast is such a complex, chaotic system.
Yes.
So even long range is also, when we are telling within 5% is also sometimes it is not working. So short range forecast as well as short range forecast nowadays is much better. I think that's what even the field scale also they are able to do with the satellite data as well as many new models. They are able to do much better. Yeah, but it's still whatever requirement of the user versus this is a still gap is there. I think. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At the end of this particular expert lecture, it was really an expert lecture because Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal has almost served us with his vast experience of 22 years in this particular field. And I hope it would be very much beneficial for all the participants. And yes, it was really beneficial for us also. Because we cannot detach climate from any of the field. So yes, it is very much connected, and we really hope that it will give us some insights for further research in other fields also. So at the end of this particular lecture, I would extend my thanks to our speaker, Dr. Shantanu Kumar Bal, for giving his valuable time. And yes, I'm very much thankful to Secretary, Indian Meteorological Society, Ahmedabad chapter, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Dev. He has just quickly accepted my proposal for arranging these lectures. And I am very much thankful to Dr. Ashmi Sharma, Chairperson of Indian Meteorological Society, Ahmedabad chapter, and Dr. Raj Kumar. He has, at a very short notice, he has agreed to be present in this particular session. So I am very much thankful to you also, Dr. Raj Kumar sir. I am thankful to Dr. R.S. Punde, Principal Investigator of NAHEP CAST, for giving us the guiding force to arrange all these kind of functions or lectures or any seminar. Dr. Y.A. Lad, he is the co-PI for arranging all these sessions in any of the topic. All the team of NAHEP CAST and my colleagues, Dr. Dhaval Kathiria, for giving us the guidance for this. And all the participants for giving their valuable time and being with us for the entire lecture. And we hope to arrange more lectures, such kind of lectures, which can be useful for all the fraternity working in this particular field. So thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Richa and other organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.